Let your brother count on you every play tonight. Okay? And then come out and have fun. The gates are locked. Ain't nobody getting out now. They can't run. The gates are locked. Let's bring the fight to them, guys. Yes, sir. Hey, brother. Let's pray.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome. Week 17, bEast from the East. It's your boy, Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, here for the state championship talk. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. KO Kyle Owens will be joining us shortly, but he arrived a little early today, and so he gets to still have his own intro because we love him here at NETSN. You either love him or you hate him. He is the man behind the music. He is the professor, Mr. Lemon Booty himself, Matt Diggs. Welcome, Professor. Hey, I like
y'all
that
doing?
shirt. That's a nice shirt you got on.
I hear it's very nice. So what can you do?
Yeah.
And I have to leave. I figured I have to leave early tonight, so I'll get here early tonight. But that's okay. You got me for at least 45 minutes of state championship talk. And because there's not that many East Texas schools, it should be pretty quick, right?
Oh,
right?
man.
I mean,
Here
come
we
on.
go.
It's like, talk about Kilgore, call it a day.
We've got four teams that I'm gonna consider East Texas. Okay, we've adopted Woodville, Professor. They're kind of in that. They're maybe in the South area, but we've covered them a lot during the playoffs. One of those surprising teams that are there, but they're playing really well right now at the right time, and that's all it takes is to get a little run here at the end of the season. So I know they're playing a team that's a perennial power we'll talk about, but I think they have a good chance. I think Woodville can play with them a little bit. But I'm glad you're able to join us, Professor. Tell me, how did your picks go last week? Because I had a rough week last week. I'm just going to be honest. I went 5-5 here for the ones that we picked on this show. It was a rough one.
Well, I don't calculate them like you do. You're our analytics guy, but I know I went 17-3 statewide. I missed the two big ones, the Westlake and Duncanville games, and then I think I missed one of the small school games. So pretty good. Definitely picking against East Texas this week worked out well for me. But I told you it was get your lick back week last week. All of the upsets I predicted would lose this week, and you know what happened? They're all gone. They had their moment in the sun, and then we said goodbye to them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I definitely missed you. You just mentioned Westlake. I definitely missed that one. I had North Shore, and a couple that I missed was an even pick. Was the Wimberley La Vega game here in our pick'ems. We had 20 on each side. I was on the wrong side of that one. Waco La Vega, man, dropping down to Division II has really helped them, and they got an interesting one this week, though. They may be a little bit different tune after we go to the state game. First off, are you going to be there all week, Matt?
Actually, I'm not going to go there. One of my philosophies in life is that, what I do to cover the state championship, everybody does different things, is I talk about each game. I don't need to be there because every game is live on television. So I don't need to be there to do that. And at that point, it's just kind of redundant. And also, you got like everybody in the state is going to be there and all typing the same thing. You're going to have 20 people letting you know when Surratt gets another touchdown. Like, okay, I get it. So I like to kind of stay at home and kind of almost be like Mystery Science 3000 with the TV broadcast and what they're talking about and kind of make fun of them if they're doing dumb things, like saying Malakoff is an East Texas team. I mean, somebody's got to be a fact checker of the broadcast. And that's what I generally like to do. So you'll see me on social media the next 4 days, but I won't physically be there. It's kind of like a watch party like y'all did a couple of weeks ago. That kind of thing.
We asked Malakoff. I saw Brandon. He went to Malakoff and asked them, and they said they're East Texas. So, if the town themselves say they're East Texas, I think that counts, Professor.
Well, I think they've just always been identified as East Texas. It's just kind of what they've been told. It's like when you've been told something over and over, you just believe it to be true. I am here to be your fact finder, to give you new information, and 2 counties away from anything touching Dallas. If you're a county that's touching Dallas or Tarrant, and the next county over is also DFW. And Malakoff is like right on the edge. It's almost like 1.01 counties away from Dallas. It's not even like super far. It's not like we're talking about Chandler over here that's just in Henderson County kissing Tyler over here. It's full on right there at Cedar Creek Lake. So I don't get what people are so up in arms about, but Malakoff is clearly a DFW area school. It's a DFW metro school. If you went into their coach's room when they were telling you they're East Texas and they look up at the TV, they're watching WFAA in the Dallas Channel.
No.
Come on.
They're watching KO. They're watching KO TV.
They have to stream them because you can't get them there.
Everybody can watch.
You probably stream them. I stream them. I mean, I can't get it on my TV, and I want to see what KO has to say on East Texas Now. And that poor co-host of his that's always like, I'm just here to listen to you, wise KO. But what can you do?
Well, okay.
She's smart though. To listen to KO. That's what I try to do.
Yeah. Well, it helps. Just let me just get this clear. I did talk to Morgan this week, and he says that you should definitely, if he's buying StockX, you should definitely buy StockX because he's very good at making money, Professor. So that was his quote. He did tell me to ask you, how did the DeSoto pick go for you? It didn't go well for me, but I can tell you the South Lake Carroll pick went excellently for me. And I can also tell you my South Oak Cliff pick earlier this year went excellent for me. There was a little controversy in that South Lake Carroll game.
A little bit.
I mean, I don't know that I make that call at the end. Like if he ran into him, just tackled the kicker, I think you have to. But from the things that I saw, I wasn't there. but from the angles and stuff I saw, there was very little contact, and the fall wasn't made until he knew the field goal was off. I mean, good coaching, I guess. He acted accordingly, but I just hate it for that kind of game to be decided like that.
I've actually seen and I've kind of pieced it together. I've seen an angle where you're basically on the sideline, maybe about 6 rows up, looking directly at the kick from the other side. The one that went viral, Mr. Prosser from LISD, who kind of posted the behind thing, it looks like a flop job. And that's kind of the problem with angles and videos and things. But the angle I've seen that's out there, it's on my Twitter, that's directly straight ahead. It's like a kind of a sideline view. You can not only see the guy clearly hit him, you can see the official never look at the field goal. He never looked over. He was only looking at the thing, and he threw the flag most likely before it was decided good or bad. So to me, when you look at that, I would say it's a pretty good call. And from what I understand, Coach King was telling people after the game it was a good call. He didn't want it called, but like he can't argue with the mechanics of the technicality of it. If I'm misquoting Coach King, I apologize. That's just what my media people were telling me they heard on the sidelines. Were saying, yeah, I don't like the call. I wish it wasn't called in that position, but was it roughing or not roughing, but running into the kicker? It was running into the kicker.
Well, let's kind of go down through these games that we had on our pick'em digs, and we'll get your thoughts on them. So the first one was a game that I got to call. I got to see Ganedo and Joaquin, and poor Joaquin. I don't think that this was a mismatch, but it was. I've talked about it all playoffs. They have a very small percentage. Like they have to have things go correct just the way they play, and they started off with first drive, which was moving, and then had some penalties, backed them up, and had to punt the ball away. And then the second drive, which is pretty much kind of the momentum changer that kind of, swung the momentum Ganedo's way, was a run off the left side. Ganedo kind of stood him up and basically just took the ball away from the running back and went 55 yards to the house for that defensive touchdown. I mean, if you looked at the stats of this game, I don't know the exact stats, but I would imagine it was pretty even. Joaquin moved the ball well. They just didn't capitalize. They had some penalties. Some things didn't go their way, but very impressed by the Ganedo squad. They have a really good running back, Burris. I mean, he is very quick. If he gets outside on you, he is house call. I mean, he is that kind of a back, only a sophomore. Very impressed with him. Ullman didn't have a great game at quarterback. He had some open targets that he missed, and it could have been a lot worse. And I was surprised too, because he had about 3,000 yards on the year throwing the football, and so he didn't have a great night as far as throwing. There was a couple of times. Now his receivers dropped a couple too, but there was some times where he had open receivers, especially the first couple series, that they could have really stomped on Joaquin early and just overthrew. So. But impressed with Ganedo. I don't know. Did you get to tune in? Which games were you tuned into on Thursday? Did you get to pick up any of this one?
Well, Thursday, as you know, being a Metroplex guy, I had to go cover a Metroplex state champion or state semifinal game between Malakoff and Paradise. But while you were talking, I did want to ask you a question, because I know one of the things that Joaquin, one of the reasons why they were willing to travel to the Star was to get the inside, avoid the weather. Was the weather any kind of factor?
No, it wasn't a factor at all. I mean, it was actually nice weather. It wasn't bad. There wasn't any rain, wasn't anything a factor there. I really just think, it was a big game, and they just came out, and they've had so many good games in a row where they've come out and just put the perfect plan together. Just a couple of penalties early, and it really just got behind, and then we know what happens when you're a run heavy team like that, and you're forced to kind of get out of your game plan. And that's something that they haven't had happen all playoff long. I got to see 4 out of the 5 games. You saw the other one. They're an old machine, and they moved the football. It's just at points when they were behind, it makes it really difficult, because you have to kind of start changing your game plan at some point. And I mean, I give Ganedo credit. They were a really good football team. I mean, I was impressed, but it was a great season for Joaquin. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, they were picked last in district by Dave Campbell's preseason, and 4th place team. which is kind of skewed because they'd have won the last game of the district, they'd have been first. So it was a really good district they were in. But nonetheless, they took advantage. They played well for 4 straight weeks when they needed to, and then they just couldn't quite finish off there at the end.
Just kind of, I pulled up the stats while you were talking, and you're right. They got 283 total yards to 327 for Ganado. So not necessarily the stat disparity you would see with the scores. The thing that popped out to me in looking at the stats, Max Garvin was a big playmaker. He seemed to catch everything against Tunny Grove, and he only had 3 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown. So I think not being able to go to him for the big downfield was probably a big factor in compressing your game.
Somebody's entering. I feel like someone's. Is it? No, it's not Adam Cole. It's KO.
You interrupted me, KO. At least when I'm talking,
I did nothing. I was sitting
Brett,
backstage just waiting.
Well, see, it's you usually interrupt us, Professor. So
I know, but you at least cue me in. You just stop me in the middle of talking. I got Max Preps up. I'm reading stats. All of a sudden, I'm hearing other music. Like, hey, what's going on? I'm getting a run in. I said nice things about KO to start out with.
I had nothing to do with this, Diggsy, and I want to say that you look good in that NETSN blue over there. It looks good on you.
He's got Malakoff is proud of you for finally getting that NETSN on. Hey, Kyle, I have some good news for you. The East Texas School of Malakoff has got some gear coming our way. So just got that confirmed. Just send some address. So we'll have some gear coming here soon.
They should have. Well, they're watching this, right? I'm used to this. Spoiler alert, secret. I'm used to this being recorded, so I'm not used to it really being on a Tuesday night. So if Mr. Jones is listening, I will be at AT&T Stadium Thursday night. If you just want to throw some gear down to me on the field, so I can put it on the sideline. Mr. Jones, that would be Mike Jones' father, Mike Jones.
Okay.
But if you just want to throw me some gear, Mr. Jones, I could put it on the sideline there and don the Malakoff black and gold on the sideline. But no, I'm excited. I'm happy to see that we're getting some Malakoff gear. It is a goal. It is a goal of mine to try and get gear from all the East Texas schools, right? It's a goal of mine. It's a lofty goal, but it's a goal of mine. So anybody listening, I accept all gear. I'll take bracelets, shirts, hats.
What size you got?
Towel. XL on the shirts. Anything though, a pin, a pendant, even anything from the school, so I can show support of these East Texas schools. So this is my shameless plug to try and get gear.
Yeah, I got some. I got this nice guard hat in the background over here.
Yeah.
Guard. So
well, and I got tons of stuff from my KMU days from all those schools in that area. Like Reigns gear, I will never run out of Reigns gear. I have tons of Reigns gear all over the place.
It's raining Reigns gear.
It is, but I need to expand my schools of gear. So shout out to Malakoff.
Okay, Professor, your Max Preps. You were giving some stats.
Sorry, Professor.
This Joaquin and Ganado game.
I was just saying that Max Garvin usually is your downfield threat, and he only had 3 receptions for 31 yards. And obviously Elijah Hardison balled out 22 carries for 150 yards. But, Dallin Jordan in that Honeygrove game, he was that 1-2 punch. And although he didn't do bad, 5 for 40 is not bad. If you can get 8 yards, they just didn't feed him the ball enough. And it looked like a very senior-heavy team. So, but you got to give Joaquin a lot of credit for making it that far. But Ganado, as you said, is a powerhouse. And I think that they're going to win the state championship. So Joaquin can definitely watch and salute because they played him well.
Kyle, what did you think about this one?
I hated it for Joaquin, but I'm not surprised though. I think Joaquin I said it when I wrote their article after their game, they had a magical run, and that's what it was this year. It was a magical season for Joaquin. Dave Campbell's picked them to finish last. Nobody thought they would be in the 5th round playing in December, playing football, and they were. So there's a lot of positives to look at. Of course, you never want to go out there and lose. So they're going to have a sour taste in their mouth come this offseason on losing to Ganado. But when you look back at it, Coach Jones, his first season as the head football coach over there at Joaquin, to lead them to the state semis, I mean, that is as a 4 seed. You got in there as a 4 seed. You just snuck into the playoffs, and then to make a run all the way to the 5th round is a phenomenal job. Coaching effort by him and his staff, and excellent effort by those kids too. So nothing to hang their heads about if you're a Joaquin Ram.
All right. The next one is Malakoff Paradise. I had my eyebrows raised in this one. And Diggs, you can give us a little bit of background since you were there. Malakoff trailed going to the 4th quarter by a couple scores. What was going on and what happened to turn the tide?
And Malakoff should not have won this game. I mean, flat out. And I was completely surprised by not only Paradise's defense, but Malakoff's offense's inability to move on what I would consider is a good 3A or defense, but not an elite 3A defense. Just a good, solid 3A defense. I've had the opportunity, the blessing to follow Paradise the last couple of years on my other show, the District 4 3A Report, which ended this year because they all broke up. So it was very happy for me to see that not only Brock, but Paradise made it to the state semifinals, because they've been teams that I've been following over this last couple of years. And Paradise wasn't expected to get this far, very much like Joaquin, because last year their best player graduated. So you lost your best player, you lost the guy that brought you there, and you just got a bunch of gritty players now. And Malakoff could do nothing offensively. There was a 10-minute drive to start the 3rd quarter where Paradise just did 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and Malakoff couldn't stop them. And what turned the tide, it was a double turn, was their quarterback got hit. The way he got hit, his knee basically buckled. So he threw a pick 6 and he was out for the game. So at that point, they're done. And they had no chance because they had to bring a sophomore who didn't have much experience in there. If that play doesn't happen, we're not talking about with Malakoff as DFW or East Texas. We're not even talking about Malakoff at all at that point. So I think Malakoff has to seriously have that championship gut check and go, okay, we got pushed by a good team, but a team that, is not like kind of a 4 or 5 in the area team. It's not a team that is just an elite team like Malakoff is. It's kind of your Liberty Ilo kind of a team, just a good team that is not, that Malakoff should have beaten, but they had a very good game plan and took care of, and they executed it. Now, obviously, this week when they play Columbus, they're not going to have that game plan because of just the styles. But Malakoff just offensively out of sync, defensively could not slow down Paradise, 4 or 5 yards at a time. So that's a very bad, it was a good formula for Paradise, a bad formula for Malakoff. So they got to be able to get to the edges, get it to the outside. The big playmakers for Malakoff were not present this past week. They were present, they were there, they're on the sidelines, but they weren't doing what you would normally do. Mike Jones was a non-factor in this game, and that's surprising. Usually he's like the air MVP when it comes to state championship games. So he's going to have a much better game in the state championship.
Yeah, when I was watching the game too, it was that 3rd quarter. I was already in my mind mentally preparing. Okay, I'm going to have to write this article on the state's longest active win streak being snapped by Paradise, and I was already mentally, because Dig said it, looking in that 3rd quarter when Paradise was holding on to the ball for 10 minutes and Malakoff could not get off the field. It just felt like Paradise was literally just choking the life out of Malakoff. It just felt, and when they scored, you were just like, all right, well, Malakoff hadn't done anything all game long, and being down 19-7 felt almost insurmountable at that point, at that moment in the game. And then Malakoff gets a good drive going. Jason Tennyson runs it in on the outside, and then Diggs mentioned it. That pick 6 it changed it. At that moment, it was Malakoff's game from that moment on, and it has a lot to do with the quarterback being out, but it also has a lot to do, I think, with Malakoff. You said it, a gut check. They just realized, okay, we have to dig deep. We have to dig deep right now. We're being tested. We have to fight through this. And I was reading I think it was Steps article on Texas Football Today about the preview of the game, and he mentioned it, and you could kind of see it on the field last Thursday. Malakoff's banged up. They're hobbling to the finish line at the end of this year. It has taken a toll playing 32 games in 2 years, and you can see that it's taking a toll on this team. Even Tennyson, after he scored the touchdown, he's hobbling back to the huddle. They're still fighting through it and they're grinding through it. but they are banged up big time. So it's the last game of the year. They're going to lay it all out there. There's no quit in this Malakoff team. I have no doubt about that. But it's going to be a tough task against a Columbus team that can put up a lot of points. This defense for Malakoff that's been playing great all year is going to have to play its best game all season long to try and contain Schobel and Rigdon on Columbus. So it's going to be a good contest. I'm cheering on Malakoff for sure, but they're definitely banged up coming to the finish line of the second run.
Well, our adopted East Texas team, is they're kind of on that edge. The Woodville Eagles come out with a win, and they keep rolling. They get the win over Tidehaven, 28-21. And man, this it was close. I kind of had my eye on this one too as I was doing my broadcast, as I've got to cover several of the Woodville games in the playoffs, and they've just gotten hot at the right time. And it doesn't take you don't have to watch them play a few times to see there's something there. Like Kyle's seen them. It's just they've got that. They're not big overall. They're quick off the line is really the key. I think their front seven on defense. I mean, they're after the quarterback. Like he's running for his life. You have Chase Johnson, which is one of the best athletes in 3A Division II, I would say, and he had no chance. I mean, this guy's a Hunter and the rest of those guys up front. They're just swarming. So I'm looking forward to see how they do in the state games. But congrats to Woodville. They're setting all these records program wide. I think they were a second round. I think was the farthest they'd been before this playoff.
They had never been past the second round.
Yeah.
It's a similar story to Lindale in 2020. Like in Lindale up till 2020 had never been past the second round of the playoffs, and then in 2020 made it all the way to state. And that's the same thing that Woodville's doing this year. Like they've never made it past the second round, and here they go on a run. But you mentioned it, Brett, that they're not the biggest or the fastest or the strongest. Shout out to Bianca Belair, but like they do have those big guys at those positions. Like overall, maybe across the board, they're not 380 across the line, but they do have those big hosses up front, and then they do have Dustin Barlow in the backfield that can rumble, little Jerome Bettis. So I think they're a well-rounded team. They got a good quarterback. Luke Babin's a good quarterback for that Woodville offense. And Woodville had a very similar game to Malakoff, honestly. Watching, because I kept up with that game too. Tidehaven scored first, and Woodville couldn't do anything offensively. Like they were just stagnant on offense. Tidehaven got the ball back. Woodville already down 7-0. Tidehaven's driving like in Woodville territory, and then they get a big hit, a fumble. Tavion Hunter scoops it, scores, and that kind of changes the momentum a little bit and gets them back into the ball game. But it's that same thing. And then at the end, it's 21-21 under 2 minutes to go. Woodville's got a good drive going, and they throw a little screen pass to Dustin Barlow, who breaks 2 tackles and goes in for the game-winning touchdown. So, like it feels like everything's coming out aces for this Woodville team right now, and they're going to have another tough one against a good Gunner team that's well versed on how AT&T Stadium and how to get there and where the locker rooms are at and everything at AT&T. They've been there a few times, so that's going to be a fun matchup. But I'm excited for this Woodville team. I think they've got a really, really good football team, and they're fun to watch. Like they hit hard, they're fast, they're disciplined. Like they're a fun football team to watch, and it's going to be a good matchup.
All right. Game 4 was Brock Carthage. Carthage took care of business 45-17. It's going to put them as game 5 was the matchup between La Vega and Wimberley. Waco La Vega all over Wimberley 62-35. I missed this one. I had Wimberley, but man, La Vega and Professor and I talked about it a little bit before you came on, Kyle. They're taking advantage of this dropping down. Unfortunately, their reward is they get Carthage in the state championship game. Speaking of being well versed at AT&T Stadium, Kyle, Carthage is well versed there, and they've been pretty successful as well.
Yeah, they when they go there, they win. They don't take any wasted trips to AT&T Stadium. They go there, they bring back a championship. But Carthage, honestly, at the start of that game, they worried me too because Jet Surratt threw a pick early on. Then I think or maybe there was 2 picks. I think it was 2 picks early on. The second one was a bad decision. I think even he would say that it was a bad decision. But 2 picks early on in that first quarter, but Brock was able to do nothing with it. Like that Carthage defense didn't let Brock maybe even gain a first down out of those turnovers. So it turned out not to hurt him, and then Carthage was able to pull away. Carthage is just Carthage. I looked up a stat today as I was doing some research. So they lost by 5 to Kilgore to begin the year, where everybody thought the sky was falling. Carthage is not the same. We won't see Carthage in Arlington this year. Surprise, surprise. They're right back where we thought they would be. But they haven't had – so they lost by 5. Their closest game since that opening week loss to Kilgore, their closest game was a 21-point win against Pleasant Grove in the third round of the playoffs.
Well, and that's probably your second best team in that classification.
I mean, it makes no sense how good Carthage is. And with Jet Surratt now, who's grown up watching his dad win these state titles, now has an opportunity to go out there and win a state championship. Like that's what more could you ask for and to win number 10 for Coach Surratt too? Like that's everything's lining up. We talked about aces for Woodville. I mean, this Carthage football team is phenomenal. Like they're great. This may be, no disrespect to La Vega, but this may be the biggest point spread of all the state games, in my opinion.
Okay. Diggs?
I wouldn't disagree with you. I think they are going to be a big favorite. But the one thing I would say is we don't know how really elite La Vega's offense is. La Vega has one of the best offenses in the state. We know Carthage has a really good offense and a really good defense. So obviously advantage Carthage. But for whatever reason, La Vega is able to go out and run their offense. You could see a shootout. I mean, I'm still going to go with Carthage, but I'm just saying that's your puncher's chance. That's your narrative if you're La Vega, is we're going to have to go out there because we know we're not going to slow them down. We're going to have to score every possession. We're going to have to play keep away from them and maybe get a 2-point conversion or a turnover. That's the La Vega narrative, but there's a lot of too many ifs in that. And they say ifs and nuts and candy and butts, and we'll all have a Merry Christmas. I think it'll be a Merry Christmas in Carthage, but we'll get there. But big win from La Vega, especially considering Wimberley is a blue blood. So for them to drop down and have that success, good job.
Well, and Carthage beat La Vega in 2019 to win their 7th state championship. So, and it was only a 14-point game, 42-28. So it was a competitive ball game in that one. So we'll have to see if La Vega can do anything Friday.
Well, speaking of on all cylinders, Kyle, there may be another team that's cooking on all cylinders right now from East Texas, and it's the other Red Dogs. Kilgore right now, they're rolling. They won 38-13. And coming into we kind of thought it was Kilgore Salina. Salina, I watched a little bit of that game. They tried to lose that game to West Plains. It was back and forth till the very end. Like both teams didn't get it on 4th down, and it was back and forth and a very competitive game. Salina sneaks into the state championship game, not quite on the same win as Kilgore was comfortably in, but I think this is going to be a good game. I'm excited for this matchup, but man, Kilgore right now is just they're just playing on another level.
Kilgore is it's funny that the only team Carthage lost to this year is also playing for a state championship and kind of has the same narrative that Carthage has. I know that the Kilgore has 2 losses, but when you look at their last loss to Henderson in district by 3 points, they have the same story that Carthage has. Their closest game has been a 21-point game, and it was to Lindale the week after the Chapel Hill game. They beat Lindale 42-21, and that's been the closest anyone's gotten to them since. Like, it is amazing to me how good Kilgore's playing right now. And Coach Fuller, I've talked to him a couple of times since that Henderson game, and he's said it multiple times that they looked at that Henderson game, looked at that result, and said, that's not happening again. We're not allowing that to happen. And they have played that way. They haven't been close to anybody. Like they're even with Lavernia, where it's a state semifinal game. You're down to the final 4 teams in that classification in the state of Texas, and they just blew them out of the water like Lavernia wasn't even there. Like this Kilgore team is dangerous. They have a really tall task against a blue blood in Salina, but I mean, the way this Kilgore team's playing right now, it would be hard to pick against Kilgore. They are firing on all cylinders.
You know, you mentioned KO that you thought Carthage and La Vega may be the biggest point spread. I think the two games I'm looking most forward to are Malakoff and Columbus and Kilgore and Salina, all 12 games, because of the competitive nature, because you got Kilgore, who is a team that, you know, not necessarily yesterday, but Kilgore is a team that I watched in the early 2000s make it to state. This is a very proud and prideful program, just like Salina hasn't been there in quite a little bit of a while either. So, and I want to tell you, Brett, that West Plains is really, really good. I was surprised at how good they are.
Are they in that area that maybe that they're in a boom area where they're in that school new?
That's a brand new school.
Okay, so they'll probably be 5A next realignment then, probably, huh?
And next year they'll probably start out number 2 or 3 statewide. And whoever wins this game will probably be your number 1 going into preseason. But West Plains is going to be right there. Their quarterback's coming back. He's going to be a 4-year starter. They've got a lot of their core coming back. In that Canyon area it's completely growing. That's why Canyon Randall has dropped off a little bit. But West Plains has taken all those athletes. So that is a boom area. They were really good. They beat Stephenville. That lets you know that they're good. And unlike some of these other schools that had their upset win, West Plains showed that they earned their stripes. So kudos to West Plains. The last couple of weeks for Salina, they've shown a little bit of vulnerability. So that's why I'm excited about this Kilgore game, because you would have asked me 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would tell you Salina's going to come in and blow out. This is like Salina's championship, because when you consider that this is basically the same game as Anna and Chapel Hill last year, same district, same positioning, and you saw what happened with that, I would have said, Salina is going to take care of business. Kilgore has absolutely proven their worth to be here. Obviously, with a win over Carthage is a pretty solid resume. But Salina, they look like they're reeling a little bit. But I don't know if that's due to them reeling, or if kind of like we're talking about with Malakoff and Woodville, or if just the opponents are that good and Kilgore hasn't had that good of opponents. So I think we're going to find out. And my gut instinct is telling me that it has more to do with their opponents than them actually reeling. So it's going to be a fun game.
Game 8, a little bit of controversy behind this one. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Professor, with the Longview South Lake Carroll game. Professor says he saw it and there was some contact, Kyle. I saw multiple angles. Some of them looked like it was kind of close. Some of them looked like there wasn't any contact. I don't know what happened there, but what a season by the Longview Lobos nonetheless. They go down to South Lake Carroll. And a fun fact, Morgan hinted me with this fact. There's a possibility that Longview's only 3 losses were to state champions this year, Professor. They lost the game to the team out of Louisiana. They already won the state championship there. You have South Lake Carroll and South Oak Cliff. So very possible that there would be 3 state championship teams that they lose to. I mean, if that's your only losses, that's not a bad season there for Coach King and his crew. I hate it that it went down that way. I mean, if it was a penalty, it was. I just hate that the game ended that way. It was such a great game for it to end that way. It's unfortunate for Longview and the young man that ran to the kicker there, but just a tough one. But I think to me, South Lake Carroll has a chance to be one of those champions that beat Longview. I think they have a good chance. But what a game over there, though. That was a heck of a game down the SMU.
That was a very hard fought game, low possessions. Riley Dodge, the way he kind of schemed for that, I think kind of created a situation where there was going to be a lot lower scoring. I think maybe 8 possessions on both sides. Each team had about 300 yards. Kind of looked like your old school 3A and 4A football, like kind of like Paradise and Malakoff and Woodville and Tidehaven looked like. It was just low possessions, and it came down to mistakes. And that was surprising because South Lake Carroll previously had been playing their games in the 40s and 50s. And Longview is certainly capable of getting to that point. Obviously, they hung 50 on DeSoto the previous week. So I was a little surprised at how low scoring it was. Longview is going to be very highly ranked next year. Obviously, returning everybody that they're returning. They kind of showed up a year early, and they were competitive with this younger class. So next year, they're going to be a problem. And I even posted this on Twitter. I wanted to take a victory lap because of all the crap I got from Longview after they beat DeSoto. But the way they played South Lake Carroll, the way they lost, all I could do is just salute and congratulate them, because that was just such an impressive, even in a loss, it was an impressive loss to a really good South Lake squad.
I thought the game was phenomenal. Like sitting here watching it from home, had it up on the big screen, watching it, and it was like I was entertained for 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Like I could have sat there and watched that a whole nother 4 quarters of that game. Like it was a competitive game.
So,
Like
Carl, it was like you were watching a Will Ospreay match for 4 hours. What you're telling me?
Kinda, a little bit. I did have my phone up though. I didn't put my phone down for the football game.
Until the screwdriver at the end, right?
Until the screwdriver. But no, I enjoyed watching this game. Like it was very fun to watch two very evenly matched teams. I think that's what I took away from this. And kind of to Dig's point, like I didn't think Longview had a team this year to make a run like they did. Like I didn't see it happen. I thought there would be a little fall off. I thought they'd make the playoffs, but maybe 2 or 3 rounds and then back home. But for them to make a run like they did, like I was impressed. It showed me that they have maybe not arrived because they haven't won a state championship, but they're at least there. They're competitive with the upper class 6A teams like South Lake Carroll. And so I think that's what that showed me more than anything. As far as the penalty at the end of the game, listen, watching it live, the angle that they had from the stadium behind the post, the field goal post, you couldn't tell anything. I mean, all I saw was the kick. I didn't even see where the ball went. All I saw was the kicker flail out, and I was like, oh, whatever. But they didn't say anything about a flag, like none of that. So I was like, well, maybe it was just the kicker flopping, whatever. Well, then they said a flag, and when they show the replay, even on the replay, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And then he obviously scooted up 5 yards and made the field goal. But then after the game, shout out to the Tyler Paper, got a perfect picture of, unfortunately, of the kicker and the Longview guy, and the kicker's foot for Southlake is in the Longview player's chest. So clearly he made contact. And by the letter of the law, you can't make contact with the kicker. Like that's just the rule. It does. I don't. At that point in the game, do I like it? No. I hate that call at the end of the game because did it affect the kick? Absolutely not. Did it affect anything? No. So all it affected is you giving them a second chance. So I don't like the call, but by the letter of the law, it's the right call. I hate it for Longview, but by the rule, it is the right call. It's unfortunate, but you can't fault the kid for going all out. He's putting everything out there to try and block the kick. Like what? I mean, I don't fault the kid. It was just
they expect it to go in, right? I mean, they're expecting the guy to make it, so they've got to do everything.
It's an unfortunate circumstance, and but for all the Longview fans saying that the ref screwed them, like it was the right call. Like I hate it. I hate that it happened, but you can't be mad at the ref when they're just calling the game the right way. Like, would I have wanted him to swallow the whistle and not call that? Sure, because it didn't affect anything, but by the rule, it is running into the kicker, and it's a 5-yard penalty. Like, yeah, it sucks.
I think it's just the timing of the whole game that sucked that worse, right? I mean, it's the whole game was back and forth. You hated to see it come down to the referee having to blow his whistle on something that was close, right? I mean,
a game like that shouldn't come down to the officials.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't leave it into the officials' hands, and it did, and that's unfortunate. It shouldn't have come down to that.
Yeah. Last 2 games here on the pick'em. We had Austin Vandergriff knocked off Summer Creek, and then Austin Westlake. Austin was doing well this week. They beat Galena Park North Shore as well, and a couple of I'm going to say upsets because I missed them both. I mean, Diggs, do you classify those two as upsets? I would.
Yeah, I know some wouldn't consider Westlake an upset. They're obviously a blue blood, and for them to be there, they're always going to have a puncher's chance.
35-10, though, that was.
It was dominant. It was absolutely dominant. But it was one of those games that, it just when you're playing in the playoffs, and you know this, when you're you even see it with the Cowboys, like you just go for it on 4th and 18 from your own 20 at some point because, you got to score. You got to keep going. So, the score doesn't really matter at that point. So that led to some of it, but obviously Westlake's defense and game plan led to a lot of it. So I didn't pick it. I know some people who did and who watched the tape and felt good about Westlake. I just think when Ric Flair theory, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And obviously Westlake made it in there. So congratulations to them. Just a heads up, I'm leaving in about 90 seconds. So if you want to throw any last second thoughts my way before KO gets to show his beautiful face for the rest of take us home, he can. But just offhand, I will tell you, I think Carthage does win, but I will take Salina. And actually I'm heartbroken, and you're going to be heartbroken for this pick. I think Columbus is going to beat Malakoff for the same reasons KO mentioned, that just they're too banged up, and that performance against Paradise did not leave me with a lot of confidence that when they play an elite team, that they're going to go.
What happened the last time Diggs picked against Malakoff? KO, remind us.
It didn't turn out well for the other team.
But Morgan's not here. This is my own. This is my own.
It could be your lemon booty pick of the week if you are incorrect.
Yeah, I don't mind taking lemon booty, but one thing you can't take away from me is I am your reigning and defending KMU champion, regardless of what happens. So,
congratulations, Diggsy.
Nice job. Maybe next year you'll come back and enter the NETSN Pick'em contest after I beat you the year before.
If you want to do a project, Brett, and I'm serious about this. I picked every game most likely that you picked. So you can go back into my picks and see how I did. I bet I beat you.
You have to submit them for them to count, though. They have to officially be submitted.
But they're there. You can go see them. I mean, I'm just saying I picked all of the games in East Texas all year. So you can go back and
I don't know, Mr.
Private school. I was
going to talk about this here in a minute. We haven't gotten to this week's, but the overall classman, Scott Poole, has already clinched the first place. Mr. Poole, 119. He has total picks correct so far this year. He's got a 11-point lead over James Franks and Wes Shue. So shout out to Scott Poole. He's our pick'em champion for the year.
Are y'all not going to pick 6-man to give the second place guy a fighting chance? Come on.
We don't pick 6-man in here. It's not 11. We're 11-man football show here.
Should give him fighting chance though. I like that.
I mean, technically he could toy with us, and Scott could just not pick and then still say he just skipped a week and still won, and that was
he still win.
That's crazy. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Professor, and I guess good luck to your teams. Are you got your picks locked in for this week already somewhere?
I have a couple of games that I could still go either way on that I want to do research on. I thought maybe I'll go back and finish watching this. Maybe I'll sell me on Kilgore because I could see Kilgore beating Salina. That's certainly something. I think that's Salina over Kilgore is a very low confidence pick right now. I think they're a favorite, but it could come down to matchups. It would not surprise me at all to see Kilgore win that game. So, but I am in my own personal pick'em that is the DFW one. I'm currently in first place by myself by one game. So we're talking. I'm going for a 4-peat, Brett. So I'm hoping to take it home this week and be the living legacy, the Carthage of pick'ems.
Oh, that's a tough one. You need to talk to Coach Surratt, see how he does it.
Well, I got to train my kids to start being pick'em champions next. So got to continue the tradition.
Create a bloodline.
Create a bloodline.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Professor, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks to Professor for joining us, and always entertaining. As we got some games to look at, Kyle. You weren't here earlier, but I went 5-5 on the week. I don't think you did much better, did you?
No, I went 6-4. I gained a game on you though.
Okay, Jaron, I think he went like 9-1 or something. He kind of scooted up the board a little bit. He's 3 behind you now.
I'm not worried about him. Because in this week of state, I already know Jaron. He's going to pick the East Texas teams. So we're going to pick 4 the same. So the odds of me losing are slim.
Okay.
to Jaron, because we're gonna pick, since this is live. We're gonna pick them right now. Yeah, no, we'll be fine.
He might be watching. He's got the kids
Nah.
tonight. He might be watching.
Nah, he ain't watching. And
Speaking
if
of
he
that,
is, he won't.
Mike's watching. Mike, he likes some digs. All right.
Diggs is awesome, but there's a lot of people that don't like Diggs.
And then we got Winter McCall. He's our Joaquin guy. Yes. And it was I think this was Jordan's dad that come on. He's it was a lot of fun getting to cover Joaquin this year. And yes, they did have a ride of memorable proportions. I think we hit on the head as far as it's going to be one of those that it'll sting for a while, but they'll look back on it. I told a few people after the game about this, and they're going to look back and be really proud of this run that they went on. I mean, it's something very special that, not a lot of people get to do. He wants all the smoke. Mike knows. Mike knows. So looking at this, I want to give props to this week's pick'ems. Let's see. I think someone might have went 10-0, which that's impressive. Like I don't know how someone went 10-0 this week, but I think they did. No, we had 9. Jaron and Jacob McGee were 9-1 this week. That's impressive.
Is that Jacob McGee? Is that Cayuga coach Jacob McGee?
It could be. It could be.
Okay.
I know.
Good job, Coach.
Covered Cayuga this year, so it's definitely possible. Yeah, I had a rough week. I thought I would do better than that, but there were some upsets that kind of threw me, and then my East Texas Longview pick didn't help me, and I had to go with my Lobos.
I don't know. Well, the Joaquin pick got me. La Vega got me.
Yeah.
South Lake got me, and then North Shore got me. I picked Vandergrift.
Yeah, that was the one we had different, I think.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what gives me this first pick. We're gonna start here with the we'll go in order about the game's time. This is the 2A Division 2 game that's going to be on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. So make sure you get your picks in before Wednesday night this week. So make sure you get them in. That's tomorrow. So get them in quickly. Munster and Shiner. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about these two. I'm just looking at the schedule here. You've got Shiner. They're 12-3 on the season. They lost their first 3 games and they haven't lost since. They lost to Poth. They're always a really good team. I know Poth has a tradition. Hallettsville, they lost to those two by 7. They lost to Rice Consolidated by 23. But ever since, they've been perfect. I know Shiners are one of those programs that they're always good. They're one of those programs that you always see late into the football season. And you got Munster here, and I want to pull them up too, because the Hornets, they are 13-2. They lost to Holiday and Pottsboro. Of course, Pottsboro is a little bit bigger classification. I think they're 3A, Division 1, maybe.
Yeah, they are.
This is a tough one. To me, Munster's they've been killing some folks. I mean, they won last week by 23. Got a 40-point win, a 42-point win, a 45-point win.
I'll save you some counting. They've won 5 playoff games by an average of 44 points per game.
Okay, that's a good stat there. That's pretty impressive, Kyle.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah, so geez, this is tough, but I'm gonna go with Munster, man. I feel like they're rolling right now. They lost a couple games early to some bigger schools. I know Fort Worth Lake Country is a private school that's usually a pretty good team too, and they beat them pretty handily earlier in the year. I'm going to go with Munster. I really can't say that I'm qualified to pick this game, but I'm going to go with Munster here as who I'm going to go with, Kyle.
So I am shout out Texas football once again. I'm just using them as a resource because, like you, I know nothing about either one of these teams. The only thing I know about Shiner is they had the Brooks kids, Dalton and Dylan Brooks, that were down there rumbling and stumbling when Shiner and Refugio were going on their battles back and forth. Munster, all I know about them is they're really good in basketball. They had a really good girls basketball program for a while. Yeah, I want to be different than you, but looking at everything, Shiner's got the pedigree. Shiner's been there 6 times and won 4 state titles. Munster's been once and won once. I'm taking Munster. Give me the Munster Hornets.
The Hornets. They're gonna sting you. I got stung the other day too, and it still hurts.
Did you?
I think I might be. That's the second time in like the last month or so I've gotten stung by something. It's swollen up on me. I didn't used to be allergic, but I might be. It wasn't a hornet, I don't think. I think it was a wasp, but oh well. Man, this game too. This will be the 2A Division 2. Saw Ganado last week. They got Stanford next. Man, Ganado is so good. I just feel like the Burris kid at tailback is so fast. If he gets outside on you, good luck stopping him. Joaquin did a really good job on defense, and their defense is a good defense of tackling him. But he was 20 yards down the field a few times after by the time he got tackled. So I think this is just from me seeing them. I've seen what they can do. I'm going with Ganado.
Yeah. I'm really trying to be different than you. Ganado made it to the state semis last year and then lost to Terry Bussey and the Timpson Bears.
Yeah, was that guy good, Kyle?
He's all right.
Okay.
He's decent. Wow. Looking at this article, did you know Stanford had not won a playoff game since 2018?
Wow.
Until this year?
That's impressive.
And they have not played a game closer than 22 points all season long. Wow. I mean, and when you look at their opponent record on this tell of the tape thing, it's a 97-66 record compared to Ganado's 85-79. Stanford's got the pedigree. They've been to 7 state title games, won 5 of them. Ganado's never been. This is their first appearance. Stanford's scoring more per game. They're allowing the same amount per game.
Let me ask you something, Kyle. Who did Woodville in 3A Division 2 play last week?
Tidehaven.
Okay, and they only beat them by 7, right?
Correct.
Ganado beat them by 42-6 margin.
Ganado beat Tidehaven 42-6.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
just saying that's pretty impressive.
I want to be different than you though,
they've won their games pretty handily as well. The one Refugio game, well, I think maybe that the state championship game. Refugio is always good. They won 14-6. Other than that, they've won pretty handily. They did lose one game to East Bernard. I'm not sure East Bernard's classification, but that was the one game they lost. Flatonia is in the, I don't know what name sounds familiar. They're in the Tenaha Hoops basketball tournament. I've been kind of looking over that because we're going to be covering that tournament, the Timpson gym. I'm
taking Stanford.
You gonna take?
I'm taking Stanford. Yeah, because I need to be different than you, and I feel like this one's kind of a toss-up. Like, okay. I think I could go either way. I would be okay if Ganado won because they've never been and never won one. And I like to see the new schools winning. But I'm also not happy with Ganado because they took out Joaquin. So give me Stanford.
I know. I think it's recency bias. I saw him in person. So,
I get it.
Mike, we're picking on the app or the website. That's where we're getting these picks off of. This is the last.
I'm picking on the website. I'm picking as I go. When I make the pick is when I lock it in on the website.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. We got game 3. It'll be Gunter versus Woodville. This is tough. You got Gunther with the pedigree, but there's something about that Woodville team, and I've seen them, and there's just something about them, and it's just hard to get it out of my head. That front 7 on the defense with Hunter, he's almost unblockable coming off that end. And I mean, when you got to put a couple guys on him, that frees up Mr. Dwayne the Rock in the middle, Koenig. Dwayne the Rock Koenig. That's that big guy you're talking about. He takes up a couple guys inside. And then you got Barlow and Babin, and don't forget about Williams is electric. Man, I think Woodville, this is a special story for them. I think the Cinderella story for them. I think they put the glass slipper on, and they take the win over over Gunther. I'm taking the East Texas. They're on the southern end, but I've kind of adopted them as we've got to cover them on this run. I'm going to go with Woodville, man. I just think there's something about that team.
This is another one. Gunner's got the pedigree. Like, Gunner is the team. They've won back-to-back state championships. They're going for a three-peat. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. They had a 32. We talk about Malakoff's 31-game win streak. Gunner had a 31-game win streak coming into this season. Won in week 1 to extend it to 32 before losing to Anna and Salina in back-to-back weeks. Brett, tell me, that Anna team, we saw them last year. Pretty good football team, right?
They're not bad.
And they moved up to 5A, correct?
They did. They're in 5A.
So you're saying the 3A D2 played a 5A D2 and lost.
Yeah.
But was competitive. And then a 3A D2 played a 4A D1 in Salina, who is undefeated and also was competitive against them, correct?
Yeah, it was 38-7, but Salina's still playing. So
that's my point. And so, man, like, this Gunner team, dude, it's almost similar to, no disrespect to Gunner, but I feel about Gunner how I felt about the Patriots when they were going on their run. Like, you just want somebody to beat them. You know, it's almost like you want somebody else to win. So I like this Woodville team a lot. I really do. I think they play a good brand of football. I think they play a really physical defense. They can run the football. They got a quarterback that can throw it, and he makes good decisions. I really like this Woodville team, man. I do. I think Gunner's the better team on paper. And I think pedigree-wise, Gunner should win this game. But like you said, I'm here. Why not? Why not Woodville, right? Why not the Eagles?
What a story it would be.
Right. So give me the Woodville Eagles.
You couldn't pick against the Eagles anyway, right?
That's true. It's in my contract. I can't pick against Eagles.
This next game is tough. 3A Division 1. You got Malakoff, Columbus. I agree with Diggs. This could be one of the better games of the weekend. I'm excited to see this one. To see the two, you've got the superstars. You got Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones? Who?
Oh.
Okay. Hey, remind us one more time, Kyle. How can we get in touch with Mr. Mike Jones?
If you'd like to call Mike Jones, you could call him at 281-330-8004 is the number for Mike Jones.
I'm thinking Diggs talked about he didn't have a great game last week. He's going to be ticked. He's going to come out and lead this Malakoff Tigers to finish their story, Kyle, to get those 2 state championships and the perfect 2-week seasons in a row, 32 wins in a row for Malakoff. I know Columbus, you got on the other side, you've got Grayson Rigdon. How many times has he lost in the state championship game, Kyle? It will be 0.
The same amount of times that we won in a state title game.
So, I mean, you've got those 2 things. I'm going to go with the East Texas team, but I'm excited for this game. I'm going with Malakoff. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Columbus, if you beat the man, you're the man. But I'm gonna go with my East Texas team, the Malakoff Tigers.
You talk about stories, right? Like the story of Woodville never making it past the second round, and then they could come out here and win a state championship. How awesome of a story would it be for Grayson Rigdon to go 3 for 3 at the 6-man level, move up to 11-man, have everybody saying, oh, he's not going to be able to compete when it's real football, 11-man football. And I use quotes. All my 6-man coaches, 6-man football is real football too. But they moved up to 11-man football, he's not going to be able to win it. If you could go out and win and be offensive or whatever MVP, like,
and beat and knock off the defending
Malakoff.
It hasn't lost in 2 seasons.
What a story! Like, it's a
good story either way. You could sell it the other way. Malakoff coming in as the champions, and Grayson Rigdon never lost in a state title. You got a chance to knock him off.
Wounded champion, wounded champion, hobbling into the title fight and with a fresh challenger, they're ready to come and take your spot. Yeah, This is a great. I think this is going to be one of the games of the weekend for sure. I think it might be. Like Dick said, this one and the Kilgore Salina game are the two that I'm looking forward to the most out of watching. But this one's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see Grayson Rigdon in person. I've never seen him in person, just seen him on the TV screen and highlights. So I'm excited to see him in action. Hopefully I have some Malakoff gear on the sideline to be wearing. Shout out Mr. Jones. But I'm going to take the Malakoff. I'm not picking against Malakoff. You kidding me?
He's giving you gear. You couldn't. You got gear coming. We can't go against the Malakoff.
Are you kidding me? Like, no, absolutely not. Give me the Tigers, black and gold, Malakoff back-to-back, 32-game win streak. Give it to me.
There we go. There we go. Game 5. Is it going to be number 10? Carthage Bulldogs going for the 10th title. The perfect 10, right, Kyle? I need that music. Perfect 10.
Perfect 10.
Man, I just don't see any way that Coach Surratt and his son don't get that storybook title. Goes from ball boy to quarterback, right? I mean, he's on the sideline for all those championships. He's seen all these people before him. We talked about last year. You better get them now. We talked about it last year. He said, you better get Carthage now. Somebody got him now. They got him early. They ticked him off, and they haven't lost since. Nothing changes. Carthage by as many as they want over La Vega. I think it could be a shootout. I think there could be a lot of – La Vega does have a high-scoring offense, but Carthage has so many weapons. I think Carthage is going to be too much.
This may be my cocky East Texan bias coming out in me. I really don't think this one's close. Like I think this one's over by halftime, and we're talking about where Carthage is partying after the game. Like I just and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Waco La Vega. I'm sure they got a great football team.
Kyle.
I'm sure they got a great football team.
Wait.
Carthage, I'll tell you that.
Is La Vega's coach on the phone? He's wanting to talk to you, Kyle. I think he's a little upset by the lack of respect shown his team.
It's not the lack of respect for La Vega. See, there you go. I just called them Vega instead of La Vega. It's not the lack of respect for Waco La Vega. It's the amount of respect I have for Carthage. Like, they are a dang good football team. I've had the privilege of seeing them multiple times this season. And the first time I saw them,
it's hard to see a team when you see them like that, right? I mean, and I feel that way on some of these picks that maybe we could be called a little bit biased, but we've seen these teams, right? We've seen them in person, and it's hard when you see that to unsee it.
Well, and that's my point. Like, the first time I saw Carthage, not good. Very bad. It was against Kilgore in week 1, and it was a bad game for Carthage.
But Kyle, remind me, is Kilgore still playing?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
It wasn't a bad loss.
They're actually playing right after Carthage.
Oh.
So that's the funny thing about it.
There'll be a lot of red there.
Yeah, I'm listen, again, no disrespect to Waco La Vega. I'm sure they got a great football team and they've had a great year to get here, but it's almost like what is it? Like Peyton Manning when Tom Brady was around. Like, Peyton Manning's great, Hall of Famer. And La Vega, maybe great, could have a great year. Like, it's just, you're just not Carthage. That's all it is.
I feel like that's the 11 o'clock game on Friday. I feel like maybe it's be a sea of red all day Friday, at least for the first 2 games. Kilgore Salina, the game we're looking forward to. It's kind of been ever since Kilgore got over their hump over Chapel Hill a few weeks ago, and Salina was still there. It was kind of like the game, you had the 4 that people kind of picked, the Final 4 going into the playoffs was you had LBJ, Stephenville, Salina, and Kilgore. Well, they were the only 2 left. Stephenville and LBJ got upset before they made it there. So this has been kind of the game that everyone's looking forward to. I saw Salina play last week, and I shout out to West Plains. They good team. They're a very good football team. They pushed Salina. Salina doesn't look like Salina right now. Kilgore, I know Diggs said the competition level, but Kilgore, I mean, that district they were in the season that they've played, they've played some tough teams. Like it may the region may not have been as challenging, right? But they've played some tough teams and they've been tested. You said it. They haven't been really challenged a whole lot this year. Besides they did lose that game to Henderson, but they had a bad half. You know, they were down 21-0 at half, right? So I mean, or 24-0 maybe. They had a bad half, and that cost them that game to a good Henderson football team. It didn't make the playoffs, but probably would have made runs if they were in any other district in that region. So I look at this game. I think Kilgore wins, and they win. I don't think they blow them out like I think Carthage. I think this one is going to be competitive, but I think they could win by a couple of touchdowns, and I would not be surprised. I think the matchup is a little bit closer because I know Salina's a good football team. I mean, they are, but I think Kilgore's going to be too much and is going to take care of business.
This is, like I said earlier, with the Malakoff and Columbus matchup, like these two are my top two. I'm looking forward to this game. I feel like the Carthage game beforehand is just kind of a little appetizer to get you ready for some football. And
now,
then,
hey Kyle, before you say that though, we have a comment that I don't really agree with here. Salina played in the toughest district in 4A.
Now listen. Now Mike's got an argument here. Now I'm going to disagree as well because I agree. I think our district is tougher. But listen, Frisco Panther Creek, Salina, Sulphur, Aubrey, those four playoff teams. I believe they all four made the third round, if I remember correctly, kind of like our district. So he's got a case. He's got a case. He's got a case.
Yeah.
Like the same amount of teams are playing in the state. Like we got one from both districts, right? So
yeah. I think Henderson though is also a tough team that maybe that district didn't have that extra next team. I mean, there was literally 5 teams that could have made the playoffs and made a run.
That's what now I think. I agree with you. I think top to bottom, like of course, no disrespect, but Maybank and Palestine would be the weak ones in our district.
And I think Palestine will be improved next year. Coach Race over there it's the first year changing the entire system, losing Denman. That was going to be a tough thing to overcome. I don't know about Maybank.
I don't think that's a crazy statement to say that district's the toughest district. I disagree. I think the Kilgore, Chapel Hill, Lindale, Pine Tree, just because of the quality of teams top to bottom. Now, if you want to go just top heavy teams, maybe Panther Creek and Salina and Sulphur, but I would put Lindale, Chapel Hill, and Kilgore up against Frisco, Panther Creek, Salina, and Sulphur and take my chances.
Well, then you got Pine Tree. You know, if
you got Pine Tree that you could throw in there too.
If Cates doesn't get injured late in the season, Pine Tree may have won a couple more games, right? So,
and that's without Henderson even being in the playoffs, which is another good football team that I think Henderson Aubrey battling for a 4th spot in that district over there.
But I think this is why this makes this game so intriguing because I would definitely be of the opinion that these two are probably the best 2 districts. It's debatable.
For sure.
It's debatable which one's better than the other. But your 2 teams, your 2 best teams out of the 2 best districts are going to line up at AT&T Stadium and go at it.
Figure it out on the field, and I like that too. And I think, and it's a classic. Everybody loves it. It's a classic DFW East Texas matchup. Like it's the two. It's blue blood programs. Like Diggs was talking about. Kilgore hasn't been to the state game since 2013, but they have a chance to win a championship 20 years later from their first championship. Like you like those nice round numbers, like in 20 years. They won it in 2004. They have a chance to win it again in 2024. So I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I think it's going to be low scoring, physical, hard hitting. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. But again, I'm not picking against Kilgore. Are you kidding me? I'm taking the Red Dogs for the 11 a.m. and for the 3 p.m.
All right, game 7. The nightcap on Friday. South Oak Cliff, Richmond Randall. Man, I feel like I don't want to disrespect Randall, but I feel like Sock's already been in a couple of state quality games. I mean, that region that they came out of, that was tough. Texas High and P&G knocked one of themselves out, and then Sock's there. The whole city of Dallas is going to be there that night. It's going to be packed. Man, I'm not going against Sock, man. They're ticked off that this should be 4 in a row in their opinion. They lost that last year. I think they get their get back this year, and they take the win over Richmond Randall.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not trying to disrespect Richmond Randall. I feel like I've disrespected a lot of fan bases tonight, and that's not my intention. But Sock, it says it on their jerseys, the Mecca. Like that, they have been the Mecca of 5A Division II football for the past 4 years. Like it has been Sock and everybody else. I know P&G won last year, but you mentioned it. Like it could have very easily not been P&G last year. So yeah, I'm not picking against Sock. I think they're out on a mission. It's been the Oak Cliff Revenge Tour, not the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour, but the Oak Cliff Revenge Tour this year, and they're out for blood. And look what they just did to Argyle, like a state powerhouse in Argyle, and completely annihilated them, 37-3. So like, yeah, I'm not picking against Sock. You can pick against the Golden Bears if you want to. It's a bad decision though.
All right, next one up. Start with the Saturday, 11 a.m. It's Highland Park, Smithson Valley. Man, Highland Park, man. It seems like they're always good. That there's some quarterback that plays for the NFL and the Los Angeles Rams that's from Highland Park. He's a pretty good player. He's not too bad. I think he won a NFL Super Bowl a few years ago.
He did win a Super Bowl a few years ago,
and now his team that he left is really good. How's that weird? Has that ever been weird to you? They flip flop teams, and maybe they just weren't the right fit, and then they were better fits where they went.
Yeah,
it turned out good for both of the players.
Well, my dad always says that. My dad's like, on Cowboys players, he goes, "We'll have a player and they won't do anything for us. We get rid of them, they become superstars on other teams." I'm like, maybe it just wasn't the right fit. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes not the right fit.
Yeah. I don't know. This is it's hard to pick against a team like Highland Park. I feel like that that region that they went through was really tough, and I'm going to go with Highland Park to get the state championship and knock off Smithson Valley.
Well, this is going to be one that I'm going to try and get one on you, and for no other reason, because again, yes, I know the pedigree of Highland Park and the Scots and all that. Smithson Valley's been to the championship game 4 times. Like 4 times they've come up short. And so you think that you eventually got to win it, right? I know they say 3rd time's a charm, and they missed that one, but maybe the 5th time's a charm for Smithson Valley. Like I know Highland Park's got the pedigree, but I'm going to take Smithson Valley because I want them to break through and finally get them a state ring.
Okay.
And that's 2 I picked different, right? And I'm behind you by 3, so I got to pick against you these next 2 regardless of what I want to do.
You're actually behind me by 4.
Okay. Well, so the best I can do is tie.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll take that.
Okay. So game 9, I should let you pick first, and I just picked the same. Game 9, Saturday, 3 p.m. South Lake Carroll, Austin Vandegrift. Man, South Lake Carroll, Raleigh Dodge. The pedigree's there. The program. He's going to take his team that he used to play for. His dad used to coach, and they're going to do better than his dad's going to do this week. I'm going with South Lake Carroll to get the win and to get the state championship. And then Longview will have lost to 3 state champions as their only losses for the year.
That is a pretty cool stat. I mean, it's not cool. It sucks, but I mean, at least you lost to the best teams.
Shout out to Morgan. That was his stat for Longview.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing Southlake against Longview last week, it's gonna recency bias. We talk about it all the time. Like, as highly as I thought of that Longview team that went toe to toe with Southlake Carroll is a team that came out with the win, regardless of how it ended or what. They put themselves in a position to win that football game at the end of the day. And I'm with you. I think it's been a while since Southlake has been on the championship stage, so I know they're hungry for it too. Vandergrift is a new program. They've only been around. The school's only been around for 14 years, so they got plenty of time. I'm taking the Southlake Carroll Dragons. Oh wait, that's who you took, right?
Yeah.
Dadgummit. I'm taking Vandergrift.
Hey, you got to be careful. You do too many wild picks, and the Jaren will catch up behind you, so you might shoot yourself in the foot there.
Well, consider foot shot.
Oh, no. I'm about to get that button ready there.
My bad. I didn't know that's where that was going. Surprised me too.
Game 10, North Crowley, Austin Westlake. Westlake with a huge win over North Shore last week. North Crowley in a nation state top 25 nationwide game. It was one. I think it was the top game of the week last week on Max Preps. They beat Duncanville. So Duncanville, North Shore, 6 or 7. Nope, not gonna happen. They're both out. So we got North Crowley. Not this year. Yeah, they'll reload. North Crowley and Westlake. Man, North Crowley is a team that's they've been good all year. I'm gonna go with North Crowley. I don't have to say that Westlake's not, but man, they just beat Duncanville, which is a top team. I know Westlake beat North Shore, but no other reason that they're highly touted and they've been hungry to get past Duncanville. They finally did it. They've got dudes. I can't remember how many D1 guys they've got. They've got so many dudes. I'm taking them over Westlake.
Yeah, Westlake has been a perennial power. They've been that team that seems like they always make it. There's always an Austin representative in Arlington, and it seems like it's always Austin Westlake. It's not their year. North Crowley is on another level. Like we talk about to be the best, you gotta to beat the best. Well, North Crowley went up to Duncanville and beat Duncanville. So
Duncanville's got some dudes. Like
that's look. I'm sure this may spark a debate. DFW football is different than Austin football or Houston. DFW football. If I had to pick, right now, obviously I'm a ride or die for East Texas, but if I had to pick out of the bigger markets, right? If we had to go DFW, I'm taking DFW all day. Give me the DFW school. They got dogs up there, and North Crowley is full of them. I know they're the Panthers, but they got dogs. Give me North Crowley. Wait, no, you pick North Crowley. Dadgummit. I'm taking the Austin teams. I'm taking the Austin teams.
There you go. Throw your horns up. There you go, Austin. I'm gonna really laugh. We come back next week and Jaren has passed you because of your trying to you're trying to throw the Hail Marys, but hey, maybe it'll work out for you.
I just put on my cape for DFW football and then picked against them twice.
Hey, wait.
Twice.
Is that Swaggy calling me? Hold on. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. He went against all the dubs. Man, I'm sorry.
I did actually. Highland Park, Southlake Carroll, and North Crowley went against. But I picked Oak Cliff.
You picked Sock. You couldn't. There was no way. You couldn't use that pick to go against me. It wouldn't have worked out for you. I think
that would have been silly. But I picked Sock and Munster. That's what Diggs claimed Munster is DFW. So
the last pick 'em of the year. Next week we'll just get to recap what happened last week, and that'll be it. I mean, it's been a quick season.
It's flown by. It is flown by.
And NETSN, we've already kicked off basketball season. There's a couple games on the network tonight. I think I know Larry was doing a Chirino.
Yeah.
And at San Augustine.
West Sabine?
West Sabine. Yeah, it was in West
West
Sabine. It's gonna be in
Sabine.
West Sabine all week. Center was on the network tonight. So a lot of games going on. I'm kind of taking a break from doing some games. I kind of go down to the 10 Hoops tournament. We're going to be to cover the games in Timpson this season, all on NETSN for free. So I'm going down a couple days to do some games. I think I've got Jeremy Titsworth coming with me. We're going to have some fun going down there and doing some games, maybe some others, but it's going to be a lot of fun. The links of the first 2 days are already up. So make sure you check those out as you're sitting around and doing whatever you do on the day after Christmas. Or Kyle, you probably have to work, so you can go catch some highlights there of our streams.
Yeah, I'll be working. I'm working that Monday and Tuesday next week, off Christmas Day, working Thursday, Friday. Then I get a whole week off. I took a whole week off after Christmas to unwind from football season. So
And we have a special trip at the end of that week, so get to go up
to cap off my vacation week.
Yeah, American Airlines Center. We'll have the whole NETSN crew. We're going to be covering the Brook Hill God as they travel to take on Dallas Christian in a doubleheader at the AAC, and then we get to catch a game afterwards. So be a lot of fun times there. But
who are they playing? Did we decide?
Dallas Christian? Talk about the
no. The Mavericks.
Oh, the Mavericks. I'm playing the Cavs, I think.
Really?
I think that's who I think it was.
Let's see here. January 3rd. Yeah, Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay.
So I think the Cavs are doing well this year.
The Cavs are good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They got Donovan Mitchell, don't they?
Should be a good game, yeah.
If the people play, it should be a good game. Because last year, that's what happened. Remember, we didn't find out Luka wasn't playing until like an hour before the game.
Okay, Luke, if you're listening to this show, please play January 3rd.
Yeah, I don't care if you play any other games, but you and Kyrie need to be out on that court on January 3rd.
Yeah, I agree.
Dadgummit. Even if we won't be able to see you because we'll be all the way up in the rafters, but we want to be able to see you on that screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for week 17. Kyle, our last pick'em show here. We'll come back next week. We'll kind of wrap up everything that's happened. Hopefully, be celebrating some East Texas state championships and kind of put a cap on the season. But it started with us. It kind of ended with us, Kyle. But it's been a fun season on the second, I guess the second season of Beast from the East.
Yeah, it's been a good year. I'm looking forward. It's kind of, I was thinking about that this week. Like it was undecided on whether or not I was going to get to go down to Arlington, and I was back and forth on it. But once I found out I was going, got the credentials approved and all that, like looking back at it now, it's kind of like a celebration. Like it's like the end of a school year almost. Like it's the end of the year. Yes, some teams are going to be upset that they didn't win, but like for me personally, my alma mater is not here. So I personally have no ties to any of these teams. So at the end of the day, I want East Texas to win, obviously, but like at the end of the day, it's a celebration of football. Like it is 3 or 4 months of these kids and these coaches dedicating their time and their energy and their effort, laying their blood, sweat, and tears out on the line every day in practice and every Friday night, Thursday night, whenever we play, laying it all out there on the line every single night to entertain us and to hopefully win a state championship. And to me, it's just a beautiful representation of this beautiful sport that we all love. And it's a celebration this week. And I'm looking forward to being in Arlington and celebrating with all the high school football fans. It amazes me every year. I don't know why it does, but every year it amazes me to see how packed out AT&T Stadium gets for high school football. Like it is.
It's unlike anywhere else in the United States.
When I was going to school in Kansas in college, we were explaining like people from Texas that played high school and football in Texas were trying to explain to people from other states like it's different, and like people couldn't comprehend. They just until like on a break or something, we got to take them back and show some people, or even show them on film. They're like, "This is like high school football." Like, yes, that looks like a college field. Yes, that's a normal stadium in the Metroplex. Like that's a normal everyday Friday night stadium. Like it is it's awesome. Like it is a livelihood. It gets all the community involved. You'll see the best tailgates, the best community support this week. Like I love this week in AT&T Stadium, and I'm blessed to be able to go back.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm not going to go this year. I thought maybe we might do a game if a certain team went, but we're going to. I'm going to take a break. Like I said, I may have.
You've heard it.
I may have done a few games and a few shows, and haven't had many nights off over the last 3 or 4 months. So I'm going to enjoy some time with the fam and try to get some. I'm going to earn some quality time. Build up some, because once January hits, we'll be following the basketball for a good at least good 2 months solid, with Tuesdays and Thursday games, and have to pop in a wrestling show every once in a while in there. So trying to earn up some goodwill, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited, but that's going to pretty much do it tonight's show. I'd like to thank the professor Matt Diggs for joining us tonight. As always, he's always fun to have on here, and again, next week we'll kind of wrap it up. I'm not sure who will be on next week, but maybe we'll get a nice group of guys to come on next week and kind of wrap the show up. But I would like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight, and for our faithful listeners, we appreciate you. Last week's episode, 1,000 views on YouTube, guys. We appreciate you. Keep sharing our streams. We love talking high school football, especially from the bEast from the East area.
Shout out Malakoff.
There you go. Shout out to Malakoff. Shout out to Kilgore. Shout out to Carthage and our.
What'd you just say?
Team. Huh?
You said shout out to Kilgore?
Yeah, because
from a Chapel Hill fan?
They're playing this week. They're bEast from the East. They're one of our teams.
I understand that, but it's just it sounds crazy coming from a Chapel Hill fan.
Yeah, they earned it. They beat us fair and square. I'm fair with that. And our Woodville Eagles that we've adopted here on the show. We like to thank everyone for tuning in. Again, thanks everyone for watching us each week. Next week we'll be back to wrap up the state championships. Kyle will be there for a few games. We'll have some great insight here on the bEast from East, and you'll never know who's going to show up.
Hey, if you're at the state game and you see me on the sideline, say what's up to me. I'll be wearing a Red Zone shirt. I'll be easy to find. I mean, well, there'll be a lot of red on Friday, but mine will have Red Zone on it, so it'll be easy to find.
For KO Kyle Owens, I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, signing off for this week's episode. See you next week. Good night, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Good luck to your pick'ems and good luck to your teams. Go East Texas.
Lean on your brother tonight. Let your brother count on you every play tonight. Okay? And then come out and have fun. The gates are locked. Ain't nobody getting out now. They can't run. The gates are locked. Let's bring the fight to them, guys. Yes, sir. All right, brother. Let's pray.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.live.